There are so many teachers quitting right now.
Teaching in the year 2025 is not the same career as it was teaching before the pandemic.
I don't know what's happened to education. It breaks my heart.
I feel like we are reaching a point where something's got to give, and I don't know that we can keep going like this.
Puts two hands up like this close to my face, and goes, "You're."
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Luminous. And here we have a serious, urgent, and deeply concerning set of videos. We're basically watching the slow motion collapse of the American schooling system. This is bound to happen. Everything is coming to the light. And basically, the teachers are finally becoming too loud to ignore. This isn't about bad grades. It's about a heartbreaking reality where teachers are being physically threatened. These teachers are being physically and emotionally broken and threatened by children who have no sense of empathy or boundaries, y'all. You know what? Let's go ahead and watch the video.
These kids are horrible. Horrible.
Why do I need to know any of this if a computer or AI can do it for me?
But what's happening now is on a whole other level.
I have 2 hours left of my school day and I'm leaving because I'm so stressed out.
This is going to be one of those videos that I'm going to lose my shit in.
I'm asking for a friend. How am I supposed to teach for 30 more years? How?
Teachers are quitting mid-year again at record numbers. Here's one of the reasons why. A student who wasn't assigned to me or my classroom was let into my room by another adult, a teacher's aide, and repeatedly ignored my direction and instructions to leave. Eventually, she repeatedly called me a cunt and threatened me with physical violence, which sent me into a panic attack. I called the office for support, and as soon as the dean of students showed up to my classroom, I left and I went to the stairwell to go cry and have a panic attack. Once I calmed down, which took my entire lunch, I was expected to go back and teach my classes because we had a sub shortage and nobody could cover my classes for the rest of the day. By the end of the day, the videos that the student took of me circulated amongst the student body, and I ended that day sitting at my desk feeling the most powerless and defeated that I've ever felt in my entire life. The student was not given a consequence that was fitting. She was sent home for the day. That was it. I received no apology, no restorative circle from the student or the adult who let them into my classroom, and the paraprofessional received no disciplinary actions. He stood in my classroom and allowed his student to speak to me in a degrading, violent, and disrespectful manner. After that class period was over, I had several students come up to me and say that they wanted to jump to my defense, but they were also afraid of that student and afraid of for their own safety. That's when I knew the profession I once loved was no longer the profession I needed or wanted, and I left a month later. And that story is not unique. Teachers aren't leaving because they don't care about the kids. They're leaving because the system no longer lets them teach kids. They're not allowed to teach self-management. They're not allowed to teach respect or accountability anymore. We are told to keep the peace, keep the bodies in the room. Some are even told to pass at 20%. Just get the kid the diploma. Pass them along so that the data looks good. But when we do that, we're not protecting the students. We're doing them a disservice because they are walking into a world that will hold them accountable. We could have taught them how to handle that with grace, empathy, and reflection. But instead, we're told to look the other way. Teachers quitting mid-year every single year is not an exodus. It's self-preservation. And deep down, it's heartbreak because they want to stay. The system is just making it so that staying is at the expense of yourself and your own family.
I subbed for 8th grade today, and it was awful. And I don't even really want to talk about it. It was bad. They're unhinged, and they're chaotic, and it's frustrating because I can't do my job. I can't help them be successful because they won't let me. It was such a bad day. It's such a bad day. I'm in such a bad mood.
I start second quarter of high school with my sophomores, asking them to go big in their heads. Like, dream your biggest dream. Is your dream to be signed with the NFL, win America's Got Talent, get a full ride scholarship for a university, become the first brain surgeon at the age of 18, win NASCAR. And I do this for a specific project, but whatever. Over the years, these answers have given me a lot of insight as to what's going on with a generation. 10 years ago, everybody talked about wanting to go to college or wanting to get into an internship, and that was really a focus. 5 years ago, it felt like so many people wanted to be doctors and nurses. I think that maybe had something to do with the pandemic, but the last 5 years have been awfully rough on our young people. They are growing up now during a time where the youngest of Gen Z, who are just getting in through high school, are the ones who are really seeing a world that does not have a lot of hope in it. And it's showing in their answers. Instead of dreaming of accomplishing things, instead they have things like, I won $2 billion. I won the lottery. I just won a new truck. I won the lottery. I won the lottery for $2.5 billion. I got $100 million. I won $1 million on Family Feud. There's a handful of kids in there who said things like, I wanted to cure cancer, or I got drafted into a certain team. But the majority of them were all about getting money quickly. We've lost the ability for our young people to dream of doing something and being successful at something in this world. And instead, what they see is exactly what the adults of the world have offered them, which is the only way you can survive is to have a lot of money. Forget hope, forget dreams, just get cash. And I am so disappointed, not in these kids, but in us as an older society who have built a world that's all kids can dream about. So one, adults, this is my call to you to do better. Offer hopes and dreams. And Gen Z, I need you to know there is still hope in the world and that chasing what you really love is worthwhile.
Okay, this is becoming a genuinely concerning issue. As a substitute teacher, I am encountering a really concerning number of students who truly do not see any value in learning, because as one of the 4th and 5th graders that I was teaching the other day asked me, why do I need to know any of this if a computer or AI can do it for me? A little girl didn't want to learn how to read because why would she need to when she could have the computer read it to her? Why would she need to know how to count when a calculator could do it, or when she could just take a picture of her math problem and have the AI do it for her? This is a legitimate issue because if for whatever reason we lose the ability to have access to these things, we have an entire generation of kids who's going to be entirely helpless without the internet, and that is not okay. If you as a parent are encouraging this behavior and allowing your child to use AI for everything, you have a problem and you need to be teaching them otherwise.
A message to anyone out there who thinks that teachers have it easy just because we have time off. I have 2 hours left of my school day and I'm leaving because I'm so stressed out. Between all the requirements that a district offers and the students' behavior, their lack of trying, their apathy for school, parents that don't give a shit, they don't care, they don't answer phones, they don't discipline their kids, and kids who feel like they're going to commit suicide because they're getting bullied. You have no idea what it's like being a teacher. You have no idea. I don't want to hear a person ever in the history of ever say that this job, we're lucky, we have it easy, we get so much time off. You have zero clue what all it takes to be a teacher.
Sometimes these kids, I don't understand how they ended up to this point. You know what I mean? Like, I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. That's a lot of them. And that's typical of what I've seen lately from students. But it's not just literacy. It's not just literacy, and it's not just like lack of content knowledge. It's not just critical thinking skills. It's basic thinking skills. My students can decode almost nothing. They cannot apply inference. They cannot process questions that are longer than a sentence. They cannot connect cause and effect. They can't track multi-step ideas like in a political cartoon. And it's scaring me a little. Like, I see it every single day. I had a kid yesterday, 4 kids actually. This happened in every class. We were doing guided notes, supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down, and before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics one more time? And these students, what they do is they look at me, and then they look at their notes, and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me. They never figured out the answer. It was wild. And I kept giving them hints, like rephrasing the question and saying, like, it's in your notes. We just wrote it down. We just wrote it down. Where are the Catholics? It's on the board. And they never got it. They can't read their own notes. Not, and I don't mean their handwriting. I mean, like, they can't make heads or tails of it on the page. I had a kid today. I have these extra credit assignments, 3 of them. They're on the wall. They could turn it in at any time. And I think they're pretty easy, like this one. And it replaces your lowest daily grade. So like end of the quarter, lots of these start to roll in. This one says, on a separate sheet of paper, choose 4 principles of the Constitution, and for each one, write what it means in your own words, an example of how it works in the U.S. government today, and a personal example, how that principle might show up in your own life, school, or community. I wrote them an example, and I labeled it, do not use the example, and I even gave them a checklist at the bottom. Make sure you have these 4 things so you can get full credit before you turn it in. Make sure you have the 4 principles and the meaning and the examples. Make sure it's 1 full page. And this student just turned it in, and I read it. First of all, they don't write it on a separate sheet of paper. I've only had 1 kid this year do that. They just write like in the spaces of the instruction, like in the margins and stuff. Very bizarre. But like they just don't do the assignment. It's like they don't understand because it's not written in like a multiple choice format. This is exactly what this student wrote. They wrote the principle's definition in the student's own words. They rewrote the instructions. The whole thing. Even the example where it says, do not use this example, they just copied the instructions and wrote them again. And then checked off the checklist, even though, like, you didn't do it. And this student, just like the students yesterday, I don't think they're fooling with me. This is a student who's doing extra credit on their time off. They genuinely want to bring their grade up. I know them. But, like, is that what you think that the extra credit assignment was? You sat there and thought, like, yeah, she wants me to copy down the directions and then turn it in. But no, they didn't think that because they didn't think anything. These kids have a frightening ability for information to go from their eyes to their hands and not pass through the brain at all. Like, what do we do, y'all? That ship is sailing across the ocean and there is no one at the wheel.
Well, there y'all go. Hopefully y'all made it to the end. I just wanted to say that the real tragedy here is that we've traded the authority of the teacher for the convenience of the parent, and our children are the ones who are paying the ultimate price. Yeah, the broken bond is devastating. And you know what? It's very devastating to hear a veteran teacher say that the system is irretrievable, y'all. Irretrievable, which means they feel like we can never go back because the basic soul of respect has been stripped away from the classroom. Yeah, comment down below, share the video. We want to know your thoughts. We want to know what your take is on it. You know, I'm giving my opinion. I would love to hear your opinion. And yeah, we gotta bring this to the light, y'all. So y'all have a beautiful, abundant day. So it is complete.